The city was burning, tall buildings collapsed into fire. The sky was dark with smoke. People screamed. Children ran across cracked roads, their faces full of fear. Somewhere far above, a machine floated in the sky. It had no eyes, but it was watching. It was always watching. All across the galaxy, aliens were laughing. In bars on desert planets, in homes under crystal moons, in space stations full of glass and metal, every screen showed the same thing. Human pain. Human fear. Human death. A sharp voice came from the screen. "Welcome to Galactic Arena, Earth Edition. Watch the weaklings run, watch them cry." A small human girl, no older than 7, hid inside a burned-out car. Her brother lay beside her, hurt. Blood stained his shirt. The floating machine came closer, recording her face. She did not cry. She only looked up and whispered something. No one in the galaxy heard it. But if they had, they might not have laughed so hard. Far above the Earth, in a large alien control ship, a tall creature stood. His skin was green and his eyes were black and cold. His name was General Khazar. He was the director of the Earth Games. "Ratings are high," one of his assistants said. "Sector 9 had the most screams this cycle." Khazar nodded. "Pain cells." Another assistant laughed. "Who knew humans were so good at dying?" Khazar turned to a large screen that showed Earth from space. It was dirty, cracked, and broken. Lights blinked where cities used to be. Most of the world was silent. Few humans remained. The arena games had started 5 years ago. At first, humans fought back. They tried to resist, but one by one, they fell. Earth's armies were nothing against the power of the stars. So the galaxy turned their defeat into a show people liked to watch. They liked the screams, the last words, the way humans begged before they died. It was all just entertainment now. But something strange was happening. In the last few hours, several drones had gone dark. Not destroyed, just gone. No explosion. No signal. No video feed. Just black screens. Khazar looked at the reports. A map of Earth showed blinking red dots. Last known locations of the drones. They were all in one place. A dead zone. A forgotten place. Somewhere humans once called Zone X-13. He tapped his claw on the screen. "Send a scout ship," he ordered. 2 hours later, the scout ship entered Earth's atmosphere. It was small and fast, made to avoid danger. The pilot was a 3-eyed creature named Halen. He flew over burned forests and dead cities. There was no life, no humans, no sound. Then he saw it. A large metal door, half covered in dirt. It was open. Black smoke poured out of it. He turned on the ship's scanners. No heat, no power, no signs of life. But something moved. He zoomed in. A shape, large. Not human. Standing still in the smoke. Not walking. Just watching. Then the feed went black. Inside the control ship, Khazar stared at the screen. Static hissed. "What happened?" he asked. "Unknown," said the tech officer. "We lost the ship." Replay the last image. They brought it up, a blurry shape, too dark to see clearly. No face, no details. But even in that blur, it looked wrong. It looked angry. Khazar leaned forward. "This is not a human." "No, sir." He stood up slowly. "Bring me all files on Zone X-13. On Earth, below the ruined surface, something was waking up. It was not new. It had been made a long time ago in secret. Before the wars, before the arena, before the fall. Built by humans, for humans. A weapon too dangerous to use, so they buried it, locked it away, hoped they would never need it. Now, the world was on fire. The locks were broken, and the monsters were free. In a dark room deep underground, lights blinked on for the first time in years. A control panel glowed red. Screens showed the surface, flames, drones, floating watchers. One screen showed the little girl in the car. She was still alive. A voice echoed in the chamber. Not a human voice. Not machine either. It said only one thing. Target locked. Elsewhere, on Earth, more strange signals began to appear. Aliens watching the feed started noticing strange errors. Drones stopped returning. Video feeds glitched. Some watchers were attacked, ripped apart by something moving too fast to see. Some thought it was a broadcast bug. Others laughed. Maybe the humans finally grew teeth, one said. But in the deep corners of space, some species stopped laughing. The elder races. The ones who knew Earth better. They remembered the early warnings. Do not go too far with the humans. Do not push them to the edge. They are strange creatures, full of emotion, full of rage. They do not break like other species. They burn, then they fight, then they change. On the control ship, Khazar stood in front of a large room of alien reporters. The recent losses are technical errors, he said. There is no threat. The humans are finished. One reporter asked, "What about the Dark Zone?" "Old Earth military base empty, nothing to worry about." Another voice interrupted. "But what if the humans hid something there?" Khazar smiled, cold and confident. They had no power, no army, no resources. But they had time, the voice replied. Khazar paused. Time. Yes, they had that. And silence. A dangerous thing. A warning light blinked on the edge of the room. Khazar turned. A message from a drone unit. Live video. He tapped the screen. The feed began. A field of ash. Smoke in the sky. And a figure. Tall, human-shaped, but wrong. It moved like a ghost. Then it looked straight at the camera. Not toward it. Through it. It saw the watchers. And it smiled. The screen went black again. Silence. Then a second message came in. From the girl. The same child from earlier. The camera had followed her since the start. Her story was popular. People loved watching her survive, but this time she was not crying. She stood in front of the drone, blood on her face, staring up. And she spoke clearly, her voice full of something new. Not fear, not sadness, but fire. She said, "Do you think we're weak?" The drone stayed silent. She took a breath. "We saw everything. You think we don't know? You watch us die. You think we're animals." She looked at the sky. "We're not afraid anymore." Behind her, in the shadows, a large shape moved. The drone tried to move away, but it was too late. A hand, metal, covered in armor, grabbed the drone and crushed it. In space, across the galaxy, thousands of screens went black. Then one new message appeared. Only 2 words, "We remember." And just like that, the show was over. But something new was starting. Something old. Something human. The galaxy watched in silence. They had laughed. They had cheered. Now they waited, because Earth had sent a message, and the monsters were coming. The stars above Earth shimmered quietly, hiding the truth behind their peaceful glow. In space, the alien control ships floated like giants, watching everything. Inside one of them, silence filled the command room. The screens that once showed endless human suffering were now dark. Only a soft, static sound remained, like a whisper from something deep and old. General Khazar stared at the largest screen. He had not blinked in minutes. Around him, his officers worked nervously, pressing buttons, checking signals, trying to bring the feed back. But there was nothing, not even a signal from the sky drones. Everything was silent. "They shouldn't all be down at once," said one officer. His voice was quiet, unsure. "Even with bad weather. This is something else." Khazar didn't respond. His long fingers tapped against the arm of his chair. Something was wrong. Something deeper than a system error. On the outer edge of the galaxy, viewers from different worlds noticed the sudden blackout. The entertainment stream was gone. No screams, no cries, no views of humans running through broken cities, just empty screens. At first, many were annoyed. They wanted the show back. Some even blamed Earth's old technology. But others started asking questions. Why had the scout ship gone silent? Why did the last broadcast show something standing in the shadows? Why did the child's voice seem so calm? The memory of her final words hung in Khazar's mind. We're not afraid anymore. Those words had not been said with pride. They were said with purpose. As if something had changed inside her. As if she had seen something that made fear vanish. In the control room, another officer turned from his screen. Sir, there's something strange. What is it? We found old Earth files buried in our archives. Files from their military, before the fall. Khazar raised a brow. Show me. A moment later, holograms floated in front of him. Old documents, faded images, and code names filled the air. Project Echo, Unit 47, Hollow Storm, all cancelled, all buried. But they had one thing in common. Location, Zone X-13. These were human experiments, said the officer. Not weapons, but something more, something they locked away. Khazar leaned forward, his eyes narrowed. They locked them away, he repeated softly. Not because they were broken, but because they were dangerous. Suddenly, one of the long-range satellites picked up a signal. Weak, old, but still active. It came from deep under the Earth's surface. Not a message, a pulse. Slow and steady, like a heartbeat. Another officer stared at the reading. It's waking up. Khazar stood. Wake who? No one answered. Back on Earth, the ash-covered ground began to tremble. Small vibrations moved through the soil. In the distance, broken buildings stood like ghosts. Then, something moved beneath them. A low sound echoed across the land, not loud, but deep. It didn't come from the sky or from machines. It came from the Earth itself, from the places no one remembered. Underground doors, long sealed, began to open. Lights flickered on and empty. Tunnels. Figures stepped out. Not human, not alien. Something else. They walked slowly, without speaking. Their movements were not fast, but there was purpose in every step. In a small ruined village, the same child from before stood near a burned tree. Her face was calm. Her eyes looked toward the sky. They're coming, she whispered. Beside her, something large stood in the mist. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. Its presence was enough. She turned toward it and nodded. Let them watch now. High above, one surviving drone activated for a few seconds. It caught one image. The girl, standing in front of the shape, a bright light behind her. No fear, just silence. Then the feed cut. Back on the control ship, that image appeared for a moment before the screen froze. Khazar stared at it. He saw the child, and the thing behind her. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it didn't belong in a cage, and now it wasn't in one anymore. A cold wind moved across the ruined fields of Earth. Dust floated through the air, touching broken homes and empty streets. In the silence, something stirred below the ground. It was slow, steady, and full of purpose, like the turning of a great machine that had been waiting for a signal. Far above, in the orbiting control ship, General Khazar stood at the center of the command room. His eyes were fixed on the single, frozen image on the main screen. The child, and the presence behind her. The figure had no name, no history in their records. It was a shape born of shadow and metal, standing in perfect stillness behind the girl. Though it had not moved, the image carried weight. It unsettled everyone who looked at it. Have we recovered any of the lost drones? Khazar asked, his voice sharp. No, sir, replied one of the officers. Every scout in Zone X-13 is gone. No signal, no return, no data. Khazar turned slowly. Then send another team. The officer hesitated. With respect, sir, perhaps we should wait. There are reports. Reports? Khazar narrowed his eyes. The officer looked around, then lowered his voice. Some outer colonies are receiving fragments, glimpses of unknown shapes, shadows moving in places where humans are not supposed to be. No life signals, no heat, but movement. And he paused. Fear. Khazar waved a hand. Rumors. But even he felt something inside his chest, something unfamiliar. Not fear, not yet, but a sense that the ground beneath them had started to shift. Another officer spoke up. Sir, we are detecting changes in the Earth's surface. Tremors, energy readings, small but spreading. It's almost like something is traveling underground. Khazar looked out the ship's wide observation window. Earth rotated below, quiet and broken on the surface. But now he understood. It was only quiet above. Beneath the ground, a different story was starting. Back on Earth, in the center of the old cities, the streets remained empty. The sky was gray. Once this city had been filled with people, with noise and movement. Now nature was beginning to take it back. Vines crept along walls. Trees grew where roads had been, and under one of those roads, a metal panel lifted. From the opening, something emerged. Its steps were slow and precise. It paused, scanning the world above with eyes that weren't truly eyes, just sensors built into its smooth surface. Its shape was tall, shaped like a human, but wrong. Not ugly. Not threatening, just quiet, controlled. It moved with purpose, walking down the middle of the road as if returning to a place it once knew. A few blocks away, a drone hovered quietly. It had survived the shutdown. It recorded everything. When the figure passed under it, the feed flickered. The image blurred for a moment. Then the drone spun once in the air and fell. Not destroyed, just disconnected. In space, one of the ships orbiting Earth picked up the final transmission before the drone failed. The image was short, a blurry outline, but it showed one clear thing. The figure wasn't alone. There were more. 3, then 6, then 12, all rising from underground places, all silent, all moving in different directions. They were spreading. Khazar ordered the feed paused. He stared at the frozen image. His voice was quiet now. What did we leave behind? In a quiet room deep inside the Earth, old screens blinked awake. Files opened. Programs restarted. Human voices recorded long ago echoed through the speakers. If you're hearing this, one voice said, then everything else has failed. Another voice followed. These are not weapons. These are choices. A third voice, calm and measured, spoke last. To those who turned our world into a game, this is the final round. And then silence again. Outside, above the surface, a group of survivors watched from the edge of a ruined city. One of them, an older man with a torn coat, stared at the sky. They think we're done, he said softly, but they don't understand what lives in the quiet. Beside him, the young girl from before walked to the edge of a building. Her eyes scanned the horizon. She didn't speak, but she seemed to know something had already begun, something that could no longer be stopped. She looked up at the sky as if speaking to someone beyond the clouds. We're still here, she whispered, and far away, in places where even machines couldn't follow, the quiet footsteps continued. The air was thick with dust and silence, broken only by the faint hum of machinery hidden beneath layers of earth. Deep underground, far below the ruined cities, ancient corridors stretched in shadows. Walls once sealed tight now bore marks of time and neglect. Somewhere in this forgotten place something stirred, something waiting to be remembered. Above ground, the galaxy's many eyes still watched Earth with disbelief. The show was no longer what it used to be. The humans, once the victims, were changing. The watchers saw strange signs and rumors spread quickly through the stars. What had Earth been hiding all this time? In the control room aboard the orbiting ship, General Khazar faced a wall of screens. Each flickered with images from the outer zones of the planet, places thought empty, now showing subtle movements. A new data feed appeared, labeled only as Project Cerberus. Khazar studied it closely, eyes narrowing. "These files are old," said an officer beside him. "From before the wars, from the human governments. They called it a last defense, but no one knows what it really was." Khazar tapped the screen. The files revealed images of strange suits, tall and armored, machines built to move like living things. These suits weren't just tools, they were something more. Designed for war, yes, but also designed to survive and adapt. "Why were they hidden?" Khazar asked. "Because they were too dangerous," the officer replied. "Too powerful to control. The humans locked them away when peace talks began. They called it Project Cerberus, the guardian to protect or destroy." Khazar leaned back. And now, they're awake. Far from the stars, in the quiet ruins of a city, the young girl moved with purpose. Beside her, the towering figure followed silently. Its movements were smooth, almost graceful. It had no face to show emotion, but its presence was strong. A shield and a weapon all in one. The girl looked up at the sky. "They thought we would break," she said softly, "but we did not." Behind them, other forms appeared from the shadows. Not all were like the armored guardian beside her. Some were different, slower, shaped by years of hiding and waiting, but they shared the same determination. They were survivors. They were protectors. Across the galaxy, messages from the control ship began to change. No longer was the tone mocking or cold. Now there was fear, thinly hidden behind words of caution. Khazar's voice was firm. "We must prepare. Earth is no longer the broken world we knew." On Earth, the Guardians moved through empty streets, silent and watchful. They did not seek out the Watchers or the soldiers. Their mission was different, to protect what remained of their home. In the quiet of the underground base, another program came alive. Unit Echo, a project designed to gather information and adapt to threats in real time. Its eyes opened slowly, glowing blue in the dark. The unit moved, sensing the world above, reading every change, every pulse of energy. It was a watcher, too. But unlike the alien drones, it was on Earth's side. Above the surface, the girl and the Guardians reached the city center. A shattered monument stood in the dust, a symbol of old wars and forgotten promises. She touched the stone gently. "This is where it began," she said, "and where it will end." Suddenly, the ground trembled softly. A low hum filled the air, growing louder, spreading through the empty streets. The Guardians took their positions, standing tall and steady. Far away, in a distant command room, General Khazar watched the live feed. His face was tight with tension. "They are ready," he said quietly. The galaxy held its breath, because the game had changed, and Earth was no longer playing by their rules. A heavy stillness lay over the land, broken only by the faint sounds of shifting dust and distant echoes. The world seemed to hold its breath. The old cities, once alive with movement and noise, were now quiet, except for the soft footsteps of something new. Deep beneath the surface, in corridors forgotten by time, the Guardians prepared. Their movements were deliberate, almost ritualistic. Each step was careful, a silent promise to the world above. They carried no anger, no rage, only a calm determination, an unspoken vow to protect what remained. The young girl stood at the center of the group. Her eyes, sharp and clear, scanned the horizon through cracked windows. Despite the devastation around her, she showed no fear. Her voice, when she spoke, was steady and filled with quiet strength. "They watch us still," she said, "waiting for us to fall." One of the Guardians beside her turned slowly, the faint hum of its armor the only sound. It did not answer, but the moment held meaning. They understood. Far above Earth, the control ship's atmosphere was tense. General Khazar sat before the main console, watching the live feed from the surface. The image showed the girl and her Guardians standing in the ruins. No one moved, no one spoke. But, beneath the calm, something was shifting. Are the units responding as expected? Khazar asked. More than expected, the officer replied. Their movements are coordinated, almost strategic. Khazar's eyes narrowed. Humans learning to think again. Meanwhile, the Earth's ancient defense system was waking. From deep within hidden bunkers, machines once forgotten began to hum with power. Doors sealed tight for decades slowly creaked open. Lights flickered, casting long shadows on walls lined with dormant technology. Echo units moved silently through dark halls. Their sensors picked up faint signals, a heartbeat of a planet rising. Outside, clouds gathered. The sky darkened with the approach of a storm, but this was no ordinary weather. The air charged with energy, a sign of change. It was as if the planet itself was responding to the call. In the city, the girl raised her hand. The guardians halted. She looked up, voice soft but clear. The time has come. Suddenly, a pulse of light burst from the ground beneath them. It spread quickly like ripples on water, reaching every corner of the ruined world. The guardians activated, their armor glowing softly as they prepared. Above, Khazar's fingers hovered over controls. His face showed a mix of respect and unease. They are stronger than we thought, he admitted quietly. Across the galaxy, viewers watched the broadcast, frozen in shock. The humans were no longer the broken prey. They were rising, not with weapons of destruction, but with something older, resilience, unity, and a will that could not be broken. The girl led her group forward, moving with purpose through the empty streets. Behind her, the guardians followed silently, each step carrying the weight of survival and hope. In the shadows, unknown watchers took note. Ancient alliances shifted, old fears resurfaced. The galaxy was learning a lesson long forgotten. Earth was alive, and it would not be silenced. The sky hung heavy with dark clouds, casting long shadows over the shattered remains of what had once been a thriving city. The wind whispered through the empty streets, carrying with it the scent of earth and rain, a quiet reminder of life slowly returning. But beneath this calm surface, a great change was unfolding, one that would rewrite the fate of the world. Deep beneath the ground, the guardians moved with purpose. Their footsteps echoed softly against cold metal walls as they made their way through tunnels illuminated by dim, flickering lights. Each guardian was a silent sentinel, a creation born of human ingenuity and hope, awakened now to protect their home once more. The young girl, now standing tall among the guardians, felt the pulse of the planet beneath her feet. It was steady, strong, and growing with every moment. She had seen the darkness, the fear, the destruction that once threatened to consume them all, but now with the guardians beside her and the earth rising to their call, she knew they could face whatever came next. In orbit, General Khazar watched the planet with a mix of fascination and apprehension. The humans had changed. What was once a weak and broken species was now showing signs of something greater, a spirit that could not be extinguished. The broadcast no longer showed victims but warriors, protectors, and survivors united by a cause deeper than war. Can we still control them? Khazar asked his officers, his voice low. One officer shook his head slowly. No, sir. This is something beyond control. They are becoming a force of nature. Khazar's eyes never left the screen. Then we must prepare for what comes next. Back on Earth, the Guardians reached the city's heart, the place where ancient power had once been sealed away. The girl stepped forward, her hand resting on the cracked stone of a monument that bore the marks of time and sacrifice. She closed her eyes, feeling the stories etched into the stone. Stories of loss, of courage, and of the promise that life would go on. A soft light began to glow from the monument, spreading warmth through the cold air. The Guardians formed a circle around it, their armor humming with energy as they synchronized with the pulse of the earth. Suddenly, the ground trembled, gently, and from the shadows emerged figures, not enemies, but allies, Survivors who had hidden in the depths, waiting for this moment. They carried no weapons, only hope and determination. The girl smiled, a spark of hope lighting her eyes. Together, she said, we rise. Across the galaxy, the watching worlds held their breath. The humans were no longer a spectacle of pain. They were a story of strength, unity, and rebirth. The battle for Earth's future had only just begun, but for the first time in a long time, hope was alive, and the Guardians would ensure it stayed that way.